Welcome, everyone, to the Flower Files podcast sponsored by Wildly Native Flower Farm. Here, everyone is welcome to talk with fellow flower lovers, including real perspectives from the farm, the flowers, and me, the florist.
From the messy day-to-day operations down to the details and even business perspectives, this podcast has a little bit of everything to keep it real. We know that life can get crazy and we don't always have the time to spend on what we love, so we are here to help you take a little time to indulge in nature. I'm Liza Getz.
I'm Lizzie Frey, and we are the team that makes this podcast. Every once in a while, we have a couple guests, this business thing, and what we are working with is called life.
Join us as we walk you through how to think outside the box, talk from the farmer's perspective, have honest conversations about florals, and how to run, well, life. So listen in.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, in the podcast section, and any of your other podcast platforms. You can also find us online at wildlynativeflowerfarm.com, and in an easy way, you can look in the show notes, and all of the information will be right there for easy access for you guys.
Hi, flower friends, and welcome back to the Flower Files, sponsored by Wildly Native Flower Farm. I'm your host, Liza, and today we're going to be stepping a little outside of the flower bed and into the world of e-commerce. So if you've ever dreamed about taking your flower business beyond the local market, maybe into another space in another way, and you're ready to step out big, I'm not talking Etsy, I'm talking the big A, the big Amazon. You're in for a treat. So joining us today is Neil, and he is a leading authority in the Amazon and e-commerce world who has helped entrepreneurs build multi-million-dollar businesses online. Say that again, multi-million-dollar businesses. That's crazy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
I love the flower conversation because we have a big heritage seed garden, and my wife has, 100 and something roses, and she keeps a very large garden. We live on about 55 acres out here in the country, so we can talk flowers too, even when it relates to business and commerce and life, because we love that around here.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Oh my gosh. Flowers speak across all languages, I swear.
Pretty much. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a lighten your day up. The smells are wonderful, and well, there's just good things to do with getting outside and gardening and playing in the dirt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for listeners who may not know your work, can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you became an e-commerce powerhouse, basically?
Yeah, we'll do the once upon a time here. Yeah. I'll try not to keep it boring or things that are not relevant to the podcast. But long story short, since I was 16, I've been around the idea of computers and playing. In fact, I didn't get one until college, but my friend in school had one, and his dad was able to get access to computers. And so before the AOL dial-up days and stuff, we were messing with machines and computers. I ended up going to college on a music scholarship, but transferred to computer science and business major because the internet was coming online. But the internet was fascinating. It was coming online. We were putting the machines and getting our emails and all this stuff was really brand new. And I'm dating myself, even though I don't think I'm that old. But no one knew how to teach us what to do. No one understood it themselves well enough. It was just really everybody figured it out on their own. And so I really saw that the corporate world was where the money was being spent, not academia at that point, other than just getting the computers in. There was no marketing and training. There's nothing like we have today. So I jumped into the corporate world. It's just a means to an end as a way to get into where the internet was. And I ended up in a computer programming job of all places, which I did really great at, but I hated. And I had an opportunity to jump into Sprint PCS, where the mobile phone division was launching, and I got to help launch the first mobile phones that went into the market. We had done some really great work inside the business to support knowledge management learning systems, what was the foundation of large language model building for the machines and AI systems we see today. Mm-hmm. And IBM said, hey, you're doing a great job with that. Come over, be a lead practitioner for us and go do that with all of our clients. And so they hired me out to do that. And I spent almost 5 years in IBM building those kinds of systems for other clients, large clients. Around the world. And I'd always wanted to do my own thing. So 2007 came around and I'm like, okay, I think this is my time to do it. It took me about 2 years to get that figured out. And by the time I got around to it, IBM was like, well, guess what? We figured out we don't need you anymore. We're sending your division to Argentina and you can go start over at base pay somewhere else in the company. I'm like, no, I'm out. I burned the boat and I left. I fired the man. I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, I quit. And they're like, well, don't quit. We'll give you a severance package. And my partner was a really nice guy. And he's like, no, don't quit. Just we'll give you a severance package. And it's cool. And I'm like, okay. So I rolled out in 2007. That was about 18 years ago now.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. What is one lesson that you would say that you have definitely taken away from that?
You are never ready to start a business. There are absolutely no guarantees of success. That it is the hardest thing you will ever love to do, because the greatest outcomes are the time gained, the opportunities gained, and the feeling of appreciation and, how do you say this the right way? The positive effect on yourself for doing something that you were empowered or felt empowered out of the freedom of choice to do, versus being victimized by the system that you felt you couldn't change. So it literally just became, I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm never going backwards. Everything is now a memory. It's all in the past. I'm just going to keep going forward until whatever. It just became a difference in purpose.
I think that's definitely going to be a quote that I'm going to steal, because that's so very true. You can't look backwards. You learn your lessons and you continue to move forward, because if you perseverate on the past, you get stuck.
Well, think about it. It is in the past, and therefore, what is it? It is only a memory. So we have our present and whatever we create in the future. So as we move forward, the opportunity to create or build anything is the freedom we have in choices we feel empowered to make. And so as I got out 2, 3, 5 years into this process, freedom hit me like a semi truck on a freeway at 70 miles an hour. Because now I'm responsible for everything.
For everything.
Oh, good choice, freedom. Because it was like, you have this empowerment, like, I'm doing this. So it's just one of those things where you realize that anybody who's listening to this will need to recognize that there is no perfect time or process. You're going to make a decision, and then you should stick with it no matter what. Like, when you make that decision, go forward. And that's one of the things I hope people really understand about any business building activity. That for me became successful in the branding side of physical products, and using the online network to do that, and then connecting those physical products to people who are really wanting to buy them, and in demand for huge markets we have now, and systems that run in seconds and milliseconds, and just a huge opportunity that I didn't see back then, that has changed so much in 18 years.
It has changed so incredibly much. I mean, you say AOL, and I can still hear the sound of when you log on.
Your brain just kicks it, and it's going to end. The legend ends after 34 years next month, right?
I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So I feel like when most people think of, and I'm shifting just a hair here, but I feel like when most people think of selling flowers, they imagine farmers markets and local deliveries, and that tends to be the end of it. But I think there's been somewhat of just a shift in thought, much more local, and trying. How have you seen people who have these niche markets really succeed selling online? How do you see an opportunity for a floral entrepreneur in the e-commerce space?
I would say it's to shift your brain into understanding that you should be selling the shovels to the miners, but not being the miner yourself. And what I mean by that is, if you can sell the flowers, why not sell the pots? If you can sell the pots, why not the stands? If not the stands, why not the shovels? If not the shovels, why not the flower stand? Why couldn't you sell anything around gardening that supports the passion of gardening?
Right.
And when you change that thought process, or can adapt it, or come to that conclusion of, what the heck do I sell? Flowers are just one component of a person's total passion, where they may spend 2, 3, 5, 10,000 a year in gardening supplies, equipment, materials, etc., because of their passion of flowers.
Right.
And if you can grasp your mind around that, then what you need to do is condition yourself to start looking for all those other product opportunities. And here's the funniest thing most people don't get about this. And that is, Lisa, that they are the buyers and consumers of those products, and they forget to consider the possibility that if you're in business, you're actually a producer. So they still think more like consumers, and they get kind of locked into the consumer idea. Therefore, the default affect of the word passion kicks in. Well, I need to sell something I'm passionate about, so I'm passionate about flowers, and that's all I want to sell. Well, if I had taken that route and thought process of music, I would be living in a van down by the river. And you know what? That wasn't cool 35 years ago. It's cool today. And then you can be a vlogger and you can hang out in your van and you can do all that cool stuff on
Yeah.
the influencing world and you can make lots of money on YouTube and all that crap. But 34 years ago, that wasn't so cool.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Nope.
That
You weren't even
that
able
used
to
to be seen as a
shower.
failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So the conditioning component is just recognizing everything you've purchased. And for those listening, if you've been on Amazon and you buy something from Amazon, like flower and supplies and gardens and tools and garden boxes and everything else,
Everything.
60% of all of the products on Amazon.com are sold by people like us. Those are Amazon stats. Okay. That means that you are usually buying something that someone else has created. In fact, one of the products we were looking at in one of our brands, and it hasn't been eliminated yet, is those 10 garden boxes that you can put flowers and produce and stuff. And I have 4 of them in our very large Heritage Sea garden. We have a 50-foot by 100-foot garden out here. And I've been testing those for a year now in the garden, and they're extremely good. And you can plant flowers and produce and all kinds of stuff in them. But they're actually very profitable and very high in demand on Amazon. And they come packaged up, and you can create a brand that could be a product-based brand that has 5, 6 different variations of products like that you can sell profitably. You just have to get over your mind the thought process of making sure you identify products that are in demand that have what we call a customer need, right?
Right.
And if you and friends are all involved in the flower business and you're involved in the gardening business, and you may even go as far as the production side of food or vegetables, not just we put flowers all over our garden. They're all pollinators, right?
Absolutely.
So we have flowers all over our garden. As I was mentioning, we got roses and all kinds of stuff out here to attract all the pollinators necessary to make all that go, right? But at the same time, the pollinators are like the customers on Amazon. We just need to attract them to our brand through all the different kinds of products we have available. And again, going by the numbers, as we call it, or making sure it's profitable is a big consideration. So I wouldn't want anybody listening to this to sell a product for $20 on Amazon. Let's be very clear.
Right.
The numbers of Amazon opportunities are large in that space, but they're typically going to have a lot less profit, or what's called net profit, which you actually take home after you sell a unit. And that's important, what we keep, right? A lot of people talk about revenue, and that's vanity, right? And we talk about cash flow is king, keeping money moving in our business.
Yeah, but tell me your profit.
Profit is sanity, right?
Yeah.
So profit is the sanity that makes everything run. It makes the marketing go, it pays for operations. And so that's what matters the most. That's what we'll keep focused on. So if we have more than $12 in net profit per unit for a product we sell on Amazon, we are now at what I call the top end of tier 1 product types on Amazon, which could be between the $30 to $50 range or $50 to $60 range. In fact, Amazon's average order value is $69. So we really want to shoot for a product that kind of matches that average, which means we'll sell $50 to $150 in retail price point on Amazon. A lot of products I'm launching right now for Q4 into Q1 2026 at the time of this recording. We have 12 brands going to market. We're deploying millions of dollars into about 24 different product variations, where the average of that is about $150 in retail price point.
Okay,
that's where the market's taking us.
So break this down for me.
Sure.
You have product. How do you source it? How do you ship it? How do you how do you do all of that? Because I know that's not in your garage, and you're not gonna,
No, and it's not some black box thing, that has this. Like there are 100,000 plus manufacturers across the world, more than that, even so. And they all want to produce different products. And here's the thing that most people hear when I say that: we're like, "Oh, you buy your stuff from China, right?" No, No, there are stuff made we have stuff in India, we have stuff in Mexico, U.S., Pakistan, Italy. Like we can get stuff made all over the world, even in Canada. So it just depends upon which kind of product profitability and which particular manufacturer we're sourcing it from, and can meet our specifications for quality and control. Of course, their cost of goods, the shipping and all that stuff has to factor into where we get the product from, which in some cases default to China because certain product types of electronics, or electric products, a lot of that's been sourced to Taiwan and China now. So that's just kind of the unfortunate part of where the manufacturing disappeared to.
Right.
But there are all kinds of other products you don't have to get from China that can be made or now duplicated, especially in the last 5 years. And these are some of the things I want people to really understand. Is a lot has changed in the last 5 years. So there are many sourcing people that are out there. We call sourcing agents that can support you in finding multiple manufacturers who can create a product for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a matter of just communicating with those people. There's a couple of locations. We start some of those relationships with new products and brands. I've been at this for 12 years, so I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of existing manufacturing relationships that I give to
Mm-hmm.
my clients. But going out and doing that first step process is how you do it, because we are actually creating a trademarked brand. We're not just flipping products. We're not reselling. We're not arbitraging. We're not, flipping like eBay and other kinds of stuff. We
Mm-hmm.
are actually building a brand
Mm-hmm.
in a company, LLC, business formed company, product and loss statement, a whole 9 yards,
Mm-hmm.
profit and loss statement, to build it to an exit in 5 years. So we are staging everything from the beginning with that end in mind. So everything is built, manufactured, brand, and innovated for us. Now, here's the thing, right? Everybody talks about the products,
Mm-hmm.
and that's always the first questions, especially because it seems like the hardest thing to do. It's not really anymore. With all of those systems and stuff, it's actually relatively easy to have
I
someone
would
create
think
a
it's
unique.
easier to grab the products, but it's the marketing. I mean, you can go onto
Right.
Amazon and type in, I don't know, socks.
Sure.
And if you're looking for, I don't know, stay with socks. If
Sure.
you're looking for socks with, ankle socks or something like that,
Yep.
you can find the same socks through different sellers, but
You
it's
can. There's
branded
there's
differently.
usually 5 to 10 major competitors in
Mhm.
any area on Amazon's big filing system. We call it a node, and in that little node area is where brand to brand competition occurs. And
Mhm.
believe it or not, out of all of those, 1 billion products listed, when you go to be a sock seller who's going to compete and innovate, there is usually 1 to 2 top brands. There's kind of like a Coke up there,
Mhm.
maybe a
Mhm.
Pepsi. And what we're looking for, though, is to compete against one of those two. We're even particularly looking for the Coke that sells socks because it
Mhm.
doesn't have a Pepsi. And what we see in the data, we have what we call a green light process. It's powered by an intelligence engine called Cayman that we developed. That is an AI-driven intelligence engine that can source through so much data so much faster than we can,
Hmm.
right? And it comes back and says, "Hey, here are where all the cheap Chinese crappy products are. We call them the CCCPs." And then here's a data set that says, well, here's sort of the middle ground. And then, oh, look, there's a Coke setting up here at the brand level that isn't down here with all the CCCP crap that's
Mhm.
making, $1, $2, $3 in net profit. This guy's
Mhm.
probably making $10 to $20 in net profit. And it's a brand to brand competition. And oh, look at that. There's no Pepsi. So
Hmm.
what we do is we innovate a Pepsi that can come in second to the Coke that is currently setting literally in the data. And we then
Interesting.
look at that and say, okay, well, there's demand capture on Amazon, right? 5 billion impressions a month, 6,000 average units moved per second. And
Wow.
it goes up to 9 to 10,000 per second during Prime and holidays. And there are people there who's buying things in 30 seconds or less. So the answer to the marketing equation and sales question is an AI engine that is intending to put somebody in front of a product and get them to buy it in 30 seconds or less. It is already handling all that for you, right? It is an
Wow.
intelligent driven engine that wants to make sales. So what I have to do is say, okay, well, I understand this guy's a Coke, and this may be a terrible analogy. This guy's a rose. Is this a better way to do this? Um, and
I
this
don't know.
guy's
I
a
said socks.
dandelion.
So
Because dandelions are super awesome, right? They have a lot of
yeah.
like things you can
Yeah.
do with dandelion tea and stuff that heals
Yeah.
very well. But I mean, I have tons of them out here in my field. That you want to be able to say, okay, can I bring a different variation or innovation of this rose to market to compete with this rose, this English rose over here, and say, can I get this different one? And the market is already looking at that demand, and when it shows up, those who like Coke sometimes like Pepsi, and you know how they're very different. Like you
Mhm.
can start a little bit of a war. Like if I say all iPhone people are fanboys, right, and they spend too much money, and all Android people are awesome, people are going to flip out. Like they get really
Yeah.
weird about this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're all brand driven. But if
Yeah.
there isn't that subsidiary brand, when it shows up, people are like, oh, there's an option. There's a comparable option, a
Right.
comparable price point. Let me go check it out.
Right.
And we can actually slipstream into the number two. We used to joke, we're number two. So we can actually come into the number two position and sit there and make millions of dollars off of the Coke by becoming as Pepsi.
Hmm.
And maybe at some point we slingshot past them in years 3, 5, or 7, depending upon marketing, time and market share, and other opportunities. But we'll spend the first 1 to 2 to 3 years using that Amazon system to incubate that product brand into the market until we start to overtake 5, 10, 15, 20%, up to 40% of market share by year 3 to become the next dominant player in that sock niche or that Pepsi niche, like you mentioned. So it really gets down to that engine does the marketing and sales for us.
So if somebody is a small business and they're
Sure.
considering starting to sell on Amazon
Yeah.
and they're not looking to have someone else manufacture it, if they're just looking for it to be their products, where would they start and what kind of stock should they have?
Yeah. Well, if you're going to manufacture it for yourself or you're going to have manufacturing made, please understand this system is a system that intends to grapple on to a product that is meeting that customer demand. And then the only reason it isn't going to turn itself into a 7, 8, or 9-figure business is because the operator is holding it back.
Hmm.
Okay. Once you latch on to that brand demand, once the product engine sees you are the Pepsi to the Coke, it's going to want to demand that you feed the beast, which the beast
Interesting.
is more inventory. Okay.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
already sharing the inventory of demand that could be 10, 20, 50,000 units a year, or 100,000, a million units a year of that product opportunity. And it's seeing that you have the capability of meeting that demand for the customer base. Well, then it's going to only be restricted by your ability to put more inventory into it. Okay, just keep that in mind as I answer
Mm-hmm.
your question. Okay, so if I'm going to sell products, I must launch it as a business. Okay, an LLC formed business, United States. I
Mm-hmm.
must go and get brand registration for my brand business as I go do this. I must set up an Amazon seller account and sign up for the pro. Okay, it's
Okay.
a $40 a month expense to become a pro seller. I want to put my LLC on there, form it as a tax and entity, keep this all by the books,
Mm-hmm.
not a personal account. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the brand registration. I'm going to submit my brand materials and assets and get them to approve, because that is a brand defensible measure against anybody who tries to counterfeit or knock off my product or whatever. And then I'm going to make sure I get a trademark on my brand. Not a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot costs. You go to Trademark Angel and get a 475, and that protects your brand. You can get an international one too if you choose to do so. And these are all stages of protection for selling the effort of your brand and marketing going to the market. Once you list your products, the Amazon engine is looking for a bunch of data from you to determine how this engine, this big filing system of AI engine that's running all this sales constantly,
Mm-hmm.
it wants to learn about your product. Okay, so it gives everybody a score. It's called an IDQ score, and everybody gets 100 points. Yay! But that goes down. It goes down if you don't sell in the market, or your conversions and clicks don't match up to sales, and it doesn't do it enough times. So it will send you some traffic and it'll say, did you convert somebody at least a click? And then if you did, it will send you more traffic. And it says, well, if you get more clicks, it will send you more traffic. If you end up with a sale, it'll trigger another level of the algo to send you more impressions and clicks. So if you simply aren't converting the person, that's where it will normally fall apart, because this is a big, giant organic engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Cosmo, okay? And it's this AI intelligence engine they released about 3 years ago. When I started in 2012 with this, it was an engine called the A9 engine, okay? And it was built off the premise of a tool set we developed in IBM back in 2005. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is where the organic engine is. This is where everything's at. If we teach it to look at our product a certain way, and then we train it, and we call it now priming the engine to see our product and opportunity, the organicness of that engine will start to trail into sales. So when it does that, we know we're doing a great job of converting people for our product. Okay. And that's where that economic engine turns off. Now, whether you're sending the product yourself,
Hey there, flower friends. We need to talk about something sweet.
Petal Pantry is our new line of floral salts and sugars made from flowers we grow right here at Wildly Native Flower Farm. Think of a pinch of floral sugar on your morning muffin, a sprinkle of floral sugar on your cookies, or a blossom-infused salt to make every weeknight dinner extra fancy.
Best part, it's all natural and made with real farm-grown blossoms.
Treat your taste buds and get 10% off your first order today at wildlynativeflowerfarm.com with the code FLOWERFILES.
Now, let's get back to the show.
Woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
or you're having it manufactured, there's a certain thing that occurs, okay, in a market test and a product launch. Two things. Market test the product first. We usually recommend a minimum of 100 units, so you're statistically relevant in the sales and conversions of your product in the system. That's enough data to see some statistic relevancy. Okay. And the
Is there
real,
a setting for that? Is there something that
how
you
many
would
units do you
do?
actually send in the system, right? Like
Okay.
I'm going to
Oh,
package up
okay.
100 brand new product units and I'm going to
Okay.
ship them into the system, and Amazon's
Okay.
warehouse is going to hold that product for me, and it's going to check in and say, you have 100 units checked in, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
that
Okay.
means I'm now able to sell through that 100. And that's when the test begins. That's the market test, right?
Mhm.
You can say everybody knows, like Elon Musk, which products to sell the most, but it's not really true. That's the invention side. That's like less than 1% of people. The 99% of us test the market
Mhm.
and then keep tweaking the product. We do not marry our products. Okay. We keep tweaking the products until one of them starts to take off. And once one of them takes off, we've sort of aligned the brand with the right people, the right language, image, copies, and graphics, and the right product type that they wanted to take from us at the right price point. And then when that happens, we're going to put 1,000 units into the system and move from a product test that now signals go, all the data is good, which produced revenue, started what we call the going concern, which is our business is now making money. And now we need to optimize after we build. We're building, right? Now we're optimizing. So if the data says, congratulations, you're selling, the numbers are starting to look better, you're selling through that 100 units in 90 days or less, okay, then we're going to say, get 1,000 units. It's all proving to go from revenue into profits, and that is the product launch, okay? At 1,000 units, we will now see the speed of that engine. We'll hopefully see positive reviews from a good product we created. That's the assumption I'm making. Everybody hear me. We're going to create a good product, but it is an innovation product. It is not an invention. We just need to
Interesting.
innovate. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
One, two, three little things we innovate about our product that makes it unique to our brand. Okay. And once we do that, we now have a product that could sell 1,000 units a month, 1,000 units a day. It just depends upon the opportunity upside of that product. But there's a customer need for all kinds of things in Amazon.
Mhm.
And outdoor products are one of those, and that would fit around the flower side. And once that goes out to market, the 1,000 units takes us towards profit, and then we see how fast the engine is starting to move. Last point, I know there's a lot of information coming at you fast. The
I was
last
going to
point,
say there's so much.
just trying to give you the basics, but I'm trying not to be too complicated. So forgive me if I'm speaking too much in the
No,
micro.
no, no, no. It's perfect.
Okay. Well, at the macro level, it's build a product, sell a product, and then if it doesn't sell really well, sell another product.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yep. In the
That's
micro
business
level,
101.
okay, good. So in the micro level, I'm really trying to get down to that amount of product I put in being sold 4 times, or doing what's called an inventory turnover
Mhm.
4 times in a year. So Amazon's algorithm, we figured out, has certain metric things it wants to see. And as I achieve those certain metrics, the system itself grows like a snowball turning into an avalanche. So as it sees certain things occurring and it sees me adding more inventory while I'm getting positive reviews and I'm getting more sales, think about it like an engine that is starting to turn faster and faster and faster. And what it's going to start requiring is that I turn over more inventory. And with more inventory churn, it's going to look a little bit like this. I'll have inventory that's selling and proving, okay, the 1,000 units is moving relatively quickly. I need to order more. So I'll have the manufacturer create some more before I run out. So as product is on the water, now going to replace the inventory so I don't do what's called a stock out, which would be very bad. Then I'm going to find out how fast that inventory is turning over. And then it will say at some point, the numbers will tell you, I better order some more at the manufacturer. So at some point I'll have product on the water. I'll have product in Amazon that's selling, and I'll have product over at manufacturing that's going to replenish that. All right. So you have product rolling just in time through the engine. Why? Because we've seen product grow extremely fast when it hits it right. And by fast, I have one of the largest, fastest published case studies on Amazon. And it was 5 million a month in 8 months.
What was it?
It was the first of the oils, essential oils, as well as the humidifier and not the humidifier. What's it called? A diffuser. Thank you.
Yeah.
That goes into that. And actually it was a client brand that we brought up brand new, spent 8 months working with him on, and got to see that go to market extremely fast. We've had other brands that have gone to 5 million in 5 years. We've had some go to 20 million. It's an economic engine that once proven to move as you start to take market share. In years 1, it's building. In years 2, it's optimizing and growing. And by years 3, you might hit scale in 3 and 4 and 5 years out. And you could be seeing, literally hundreds to up to thousands of units moved a day in some of these bigger categories. And so it really is a huge engine. And once we prove that, right, we go 1, 2, 3 years into this, we'll take a Shopify store and open it up over here and start marketing on the other 51%, because Amazon's 49% of all online sales.
Yeah.
And then we'll go maybe to TikTok if it makes sense, and we'll open a TikTok shop. If we'll go to retail, if that makes sense. We have a business that we're acquiring right now that we just got approval this past Monday on the loan. It's about an $8 million acquisition, and it has about 43% of its market share in Amazon, which is taken over very large. And we're moving open the Shopify channels and TikTok channels. That's what we're going to be working on, as well as a very large retail channel like Home Depot and TJ Maxx and others.
Wow.
That expand that. So once you move that into multiple channels, you simply take what's proven in Amazon and you take it out to the other
and just
channel.
replicate it in
Replicate it into other systems that reach that same audience. Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of fun,
So
really
crazy to me how you start off with 100 and 100 can become 1,000. I feel like so many times people have amazing in-person businesses, but they feel either stuck or intimidated or blocked when it comes to scaling. And it's
I think scale is a word that's very difficult in a town of 200,000 people, where you have so many people coming past your location in your block, and we know that the business is localized, can only go to so many people per 50,000 people in a block radius that travel past your door every day, right? And with that, you're limited to how many of those people can reach you, because they're not aware of you, they're in motion already, they maybe would aware of you, but they're not near you. And so that usually means you need more doors, right? Which has an economy of scale to it. More doors, more overhead, more people, more human capital. That is one of the beauties of e-commerce. Okay, you can take a retail storefront that you may have currently, or an idea to take it to a farmer's market, but online, the US is my marketplace. The 5 billion impressions a month become those passing by my door opportunity. And out of that, you might find that 1.5 to 2 to 5 million of those impressions a month are just looking for flower boxes. So that means I could have 5 million people looking for my product every month passing by my door. Okay, so when I see this, I know people kind of grasp that concept. We just need to connect the two. Localized business, online Amazon storefront connects the two. What happens? I put flyers in my business that tell people they can also get only special offers of certain products in Amazon. And I tell Amazon people, by the way, if you happen to be near my location at such and such in such and such town, come on in, bring your purchase receipt. We'll give you 10% off of anything in the store. Wow. So you can connect those two, and all your packaging and all your Amazon boxes can reference backwards to your storefront, right? Even people could call in and order things from you. So there is a connectivity to those two things that a lot of people miss in the opportunity to create the storefront online and literally turn a small town, thing into a US-based opportunity.
That's crazy. It's just amazing. A lot
of opportunity.
Phew. So for listeners who are feeling inspired right now, what is the first step they should take this week or today to start exploring e-commerce? What would you recommend?
So are you a buyer on Amazon? Are you a consumer? Okay, probably a lot of people listening to this too. There's like 200 million Prime members. Okay, so here's what you do. You go to your Amazon app today and you go to your order history and you look at something that you've bought, like look at the last 90 days. Okay, step 1. If you see a pattern, which you probably do, to the types of things you're purchasing. So if you're a parent right now who have public school kids, you're probably starting to put together some school supplies. So you may have some of those things, right? In add to cart. You may be an enthusiast with flowers and other types of gardening and project. You might find in the last 90 days you bought, maybe $1,000 worth or $500 worth of outdoor goods, right? You want to look at that pattern of products and just start making a big list. Okay. We just call it the most list. It's the most list of things you can think of. And as you're conditioning your brain to get out of consumer mode, start thinking about producer mode, which is an activity of taking something from thought and actually writing it down, moving it out of subconscious into conscious action. Put your mind to work on that. And as you train and condition your mind to start doing that, you will start seeing product opportunities everywhere. And the first thing is to just start writing them down. We challenge everybody to get to a 2, 3, 500 list of products. You'll find out it actually moves extremely quick and it's kind of fun. And those who get involved, they like how their kids get involved and family members and stuff. And they just come up with a big idea. And you can start today by just looking at the things you bought in the last 90 days on Amazon. You want to go farther out, go 6 months out. Just look at those products. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing is once you start to put them all on your most list, you want to then start building a second list. We call it the more list. Okay. More profitability, more trending, more upside, more variable products that you can see that wrap around that primary product. Could be gear, accessory, or ancillary products. And by common sense nature, you can identify those. Okay. Move those to the more list. Okay. The more list would also be where products that you have identified are going to have a higher retail price point. Therefore, at the first general assumption, they have more profitability. For example, you might have a flower pot you see that's $19.99, but you also realize there's one that's $49 or $69. So just common sense logic, what's it going to tell you by the retail price points in terms of which one's more profitable?
Obviously, the higher priced one.
So that would go on our more list, right? So common sense is going to tell us that. So we'll add that to the more list. And as you get to your more list, what you're going to find is there are still a certain pattern of product types or price points that you've sort of locked into. And that's actually relatively easy for in the next, we say in 21 days, right? It takes to change a habit to move yourself out of the idea of there's no opportunity, there's saturated this, there's no competition, there are no products I can sell, I don't know what the heck to sell. This activity, okay, which by the way reduces anxiety, any activity does, will get you to a place where you start to identify more products that will start to appear in the $50 to $100 price point. At that point, you just have to go through and identify the costs associated with selling one of those products. Okay. Now, I have a training on this. I even have a free spreadsheet that people can use to identify the 36 or so different data points that have to be added in to assume that cost of a product that sells on Amazon so that you can come up with three things. You can either come up with a green light, a yellow light, or a red light. Okay. So our green light process literally determines that certain product types are going to be green because their profitability and metrics reach a saleable, profitable state, or they end up in the yellow, which means certain metrics don't click because they're not going to ultimately make enough profit to justify your selling that product. And the red ones, you just move them along, right? We don't marry our products.
They get crossed off the list.
We just don't marry them. Okay, none of them get married at all. What we marry is the brand, right? Brand's extremely important, right? Okay, so if I tell you, and this is going to be totally irrelevant, but it's the only brand I can think of off the top of my head right now. If I ask you, do you know what Lucky Strikes is?
No, but I've heard those lines in lyrics of songs.
Right? It's a cigarette, right? So
I was like, wait a minute.
Okay, let's try a different one. You've heard of Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You may not have owned one. You may have seen one. Maybe you do have one. But most people couldn't name 2 or 3 of the car types. They can name the brand. Okay?
Correct.
So, same with maybe Honda or Lexus or different preferences or even Apple or whatever. So we're brand driven at the end of the day. So we as producers who build products and sell them in the market need to be brand driven too. Okay. But in a way where the product meets the passion of the customer. What we need to be passionate about is the business of supporting their passions and outcomes. This is where a lot of people, amateur in business, feel like they have to be passionate about their business, and they're afraid to sell because the myth is that I will no longer be passionate about selling this product or whatever, or doing this thing. I'll lose my passion for it. Right? Find your passion in the brand. Let the products have their life cycle because all products have a life cycle. Okay. They will go up and that's why Apple has like 19 different versions of this and 22 of that. And by the way, their number 1 selling product brand is actually the AirPods, not the iPhone.
That's crazy.
And it wasn't even their first product launch, right? It's way down the line. Okay. So we will always continue to launch products to figure out there may be another flagship product that comes along where time and market, opportunity, and customer base allow that product to become our flagship product, our hero product. But we're going to keep launching products until we discover that because the products are in the brand. They power the brand. The brand becomes the business, and that's where we make our money in this deal.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Awesome. 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 Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I feel very like I just went to school.
We went to school. Class is in session.
Big time. Big, big time.
That's awesome.
Neil, is there anything
Mhm.
else that you would like to share or tell us
Yeah.
about?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, business isn't for everybody. I know people
Mhm.
want to hear that. Um, they want to know that there's always opportunity, and please trust me, in the physical product world, there is more than enough opportunity for everybody. Physical products change, right? They change in the market, they change with opportunity. But an online business that also supports a physical product has the ability to move through ups and downs. We had big ones in the last 5 years. We've had
Mhm.
one in the last 9 months with tariffs, and we've been able to shift and move and adapt. We have economies of scale that most business owners don't, because I don't need more employees, warehouses, or locations in order to make my business a 9-figure business, right? We can move tens of millions of dollars a year in sales as we do without more than 10,000 square foot of warehouse in one location, 1,800 in another, but no employees
Right.
because of the way the business is structured. So I can have upside potential without all the overhead, and that's super awesome. And
Yeah.
with the physical product always being in demand, if the market changes, I can change.
Right.
I
You have
control the
that
brand.
flexibility. Yeah.
Yes, flexibility of movement, elasticity of supply and demand,
Mhm.
economics. Okay, I can move my product price up or down. I can move my manufacturing to change opportunities or quality. I can then control as a business owner how that brand reaches the market and for whom I want to serve with that brand. Right. So
Mhm.
I want people to really understand that the fear of getting started, or the myth that there are no opportunities, or that Amazon steals your product, they got caught, okay, with one product opportunity they should not have touched, with a brand manager who went too far, and it got blamed, on the overall corporate Amazon, but there was a brand manager who went too far and got the company sued, and I think that person got fired, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
And then there are bad actors, okay, everywhere. There have been people I know who have been paid inside of Amazon to try to damage our brands. That's not Amazon overarching, that's a bad actor in the company, okay?
Mhm.
They're everywhere, and it's really easy to say all of Amazon is evil, or all Facebook is evil, or all Instagram is evil, blah, 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 and all online.
Right.
But in actuality, there's just bad actors in bad areas. They're everywhere,
Right.
and you just deal with them in business, right? And
Right.
that's a part of any opportunity. So I would just remind people that any excuses you have are negating your opportunity to change something. And remember, if we're going to create big opportunity for ourselves, we have to make big declarations. And with big declarations come problems to solve. When JFK got up on that podium and said, "We need to put a man on the moon in the next 12 months," and no one had ever been there, that was a big problem to solve. It was a
Mhm.
big
And a
declaration,
big declaration.
a
Yeah.
big one. If we go out and say, look, by the next year, I want to be selling $250,000, $500,000, $1 million in sales online, that's a big declaration, and there's problems to be solved. And a lot of people are concerned about that. And I would just say, again, your opportunity begins at the ends of those excuses. So if
Mhm.
you really want to get out there and make something work, you're going to have to be willing to create a problem that you have to solve to let that opportunity go. And the simplest way to do that, the same thing I tell my 4 daughters, it starts with execution. It starts with action. When you take action from anything we've talked about today, you are now starting a process of change. Congratulations, right? That now means that you're going to get some experience, good and bad. And the real decision between becoming a successful business owner who hits their goals, increases money, reduces their time, creates generational time freedom and wealth freedom through business opportunities that expand beyond just local presence. That is something the family gains. That's something you gain, and it is something that becomes experiences you must own in the outcome, or you will never receive the wisdom, right, of how
It's
all of that
true.
works.
It's
So I would
so,
just challenge people to get to
so
work.
true. So, so, so true. Ugh. Well, Neil, thank you so much for joining us and
My
sharing
pleasure.
your expertise. And if there's anyone who wants to learn more about your work, where's
Sure.
the best place to find you?
If you're a reader, and you like books, and maybe you want a physical copy of something because you want to see it, then you could grab a copy of my book either from Amazon, called
Shocker.
Almost Automated. Yeah, shout out Amazon. Almost Automated Income with FBA. You can go to my website at voltagedm.com, where you can grab a copy of the digital version for like $5.
Hmm.
If you do, there is trainings, and there's some additional workshops for free, or a paid version of the workshop. There are other materials and stuff for you to check out should you want to go a little deeper down the rabbit hole. My business builders group, if I can mention this for like 1 minute,
Of course.
no pitch. It's just that I only invite people I think are qualified to work with us. We're not a course, we're not a program. We are a mentoring and discipleship for 12 months to build up true CEO operators. So in my business, I look to acquire the companies for the people that I work with. So as I build them up in their own business in 3 to 5 years, I'm the first place they come to acquire their business. So we both build the company and become the exit. I know how they operate. I know how the business was grown. I know the products. I know the outcome. So they become great businesses for us to acquire. And that's part of what we do in our business. So I give people the opportunity to come along, learn, mentor, and grow, build their own business skill sets. And even 4 of my operators have become partners in companies we own and the brands that we run now. And they work with us at the CEO level to help run those companies for us.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So many facets to what you do and who you are. Neil, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me on. It's been an honor.
Absolutely. And to all my flower friends who are listening, if you're ready to take your blooms from the market stand to the national stage, this might be your sign. So thank you for tuning into the Flower Files. Make sure to follow, rate, and share this episode with a fellow flower lover. That's a tongue twister. Until next time, keep growing, keep creating, and keep blooming everything you've planted.